Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, October 22nd, and this is your fun fact of the day. Last week, we covered Samuel first being called by God in 1 Samuel chapter 3. Between then and the story we're going to cover this week, a lot of things happen, so bear with the very brief summary that we find in the book of 1 Samuel. The Ark of the Covenant is captured by the Philistines. The priest Eli and his sons all die. God destroys the images of a Philistine god named Dagon, that's like dragon without an R, and the Ark of the Covenant got sent back to Israel. And Samuel not only becomes a prophet, but also a judge unto Israel. However, Samuel starts getting old. He starts delegating some of his tasks to his sons. Pretty smart move, except his sons aren't really as into serving the Lord as they are themselves. So they start doing a little bit of judging and profiting for their own personal gain. Now, God established judges for Israel so that they would differ from all the surrounding nations. All the other nations, the territories, everybody around Israel had kings instead of judges to rule over them. And eventually Israel gets a bright idea. Hey, we want a king. Everybody else has kings, let's get a king. Samuel tries one of them. The Lord tries one of them through Samuel to no avail. The people say, we want a king. So they relent. God, Samuel relents, like, fine, you want a king? Fine. This would bring us Saul, who would be appointed king over Israel. Saul wasn't altogether a bad guy. He was actually mostly chosen because he was a full head taller than everyone else, and because he was pretty good looking. He didn't really want to be king. On his anointing day, he tried hiding, but they found him. Some people didn't really fancy him as king, but he was okay, at the very least to start. He beat the Ammonites and kind of renewed Israel as a kingdom altogether. So, not all bad, at least not to start with. Samuel gets older, Saul remains king, and as Samuel gets older and nearer his death, he warns his sons and tries to talk to the people of Israel, saying, just follow the Lord. Sure, you have a human king. Remember, he should be subservient to the Lord also. By setting yourselves up to be ruled by a human and the Lord, really the king should be also subject to the Lord. It's God and then all humans under it. King to pauper, doesn't matter what. But this goes to the heads of a lot of kings. And Samuel tried warning against this. Having a human king opens you as a country up to a lot of possible pitfalls. So Saul officially becomes king of Israel. A couple years later, he chooses 3,000 people and goes and defeats the Philistines. Cool. After waiting a few days after their victories, Saul wanted Samuel to come out and perform sacrifices, giving thanks to God. Well, after 7 days of waiting, Saul gets impatient and offers the sacrifices up himself. Big no-no. Because he did this, God, through Samuel, promised Saul that his kingdom, his bloodline, his heritage, would not reign Israel forever. He'd already actually chosen a new man to be king after Saul was done. Saul continues the campaign in a bit of an angry outburst against the Philistines and kills a lot more of them, him and his son, his armor bearer, and they just keep fighting the Philistines. Saul actually builds an altar to the Lord so that he could ask the Lord if he should continue pursuing the Philistines. God doesn't answer. So Saul tries to set up a test, putting some people over here and other people over here and trying to get God to answer him that way. Who does God favor, the army or other people who maybe don't favor the war so much? All in all, Saul pursued the Philistines back to their original land. So not necessarily a bad thing from our perspective, but if it's not what God had ordered him to do, then not really the best idea either. Over the next years as king, Saul would fight many enemies, and at one point God sends him into the land of Amalek to utterly destroy it. Burn, kill, or destroy everything. But Saul kept some things for himself. Spoils of war and all that. See, this is the problem with having a human king, is that you think, as king, hey, look, I conquered this land. I made my people safe. I've earned a few things for this. I'll share with the people. It's okay. It's not just for me. Not the point. The Lord told Saul, devote everything to destruction. Man, animal, beast, doesn't matter. Everything gets destroyed. Saul didn't listen. Again. Eventually, Saul is rejected as king of Israel. He tries to beg for forgiveness, and then Samuel and Saul have a falling out over this battle over the Amalekites. Samuel, the prophet, actually kills King Agag of the Amalekites and then leaves, and he and Saul don't see each other again until Samuel's dying day. This very broad summary is brought to you from 1 Samuel chapters 8 through 15. There's a lot more in that, so feel free to read up on your own. In other news, today is National Nut, National Color, and National Mother-in-Law Day. So say hello to your mothers-in-law out there. Hope you've enjoyed this fun fact of the day. See you tomorrow.